Welcome to ranking the best UFC fighters to never win the undisputed title. I've seen a lot of other people do these ranking videos, and I wanted to give my 50 pence worth. So today we're gonna be ranking all the best UFC fighters to never win undisputed gold. I can't speak. This is what the ranking thing is looking like at the moment. We have was never gonna win it anyway, meh, good, as in they were a good fighter, should have won it, and the greatest of all time. Now, we have 20 fighters down in the grid below. I'll go through them one by one. We're not going to list them all off. Starting off, right at the bottom, we have Yoel Romero. Now, Yoel Romero never really surprised me, if I'm being perfectly honest. I thought he was an okay fighter. I personally never thought he was, something real special. So when you look at the competition that was around him at the time, the Robert Whitakers, Adesanya, Michael Bisping even, I'm willing to say he was never going to win it anyway, if I'm being perfectly honest. So Yoel Romero is starting off right at the bottom of the pack. Next up, we have probably a man who's in my top 5 favourite fighters of all time. We have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. The thing is with Wonderboy is that he was very good. He still is very good, but when it really came down to it, he never... The wrestling let him down, massively, and he never really performed at the top, not top level, that's the wrong word, but the big stage. When all the lights were on him for the biggest moments, the draw against Tyron Woodley, the rematch with Tyron Woodley, I do believe he should have won it. I mean, taking Tyron Woodley to a draw when Tyron Woodley was as good as he was, I feel like Wonderboy could have bounced back after that. I feel like he could have got the win after that. I feel like he should have won it in his career with how good he was. I know the wrestling, did let him down at times, but I do believe he should have won it at some point in his career. Next up in the list, we have Alistair Overeem. Now, my problem with Overeem, again, he was an elite level kickboxer. He was fantastic to watch. But when you look up his run up to the point of getting the title shot against Stipe Miocic, he did lose to Travis Brown. There is no disputing that. He did lose to Ben Rothwell. He did beat some big names. Frank Mir, who was towards the end of his career. JDS, Andrei Arlovski, former champion, of course. But to beat someone like Stipe Miocic, I feel like your run up to him has to be incredible. Especially when he was in his prime, he was that good. I liked Overeem, if I'm being honest. I like Overeem. I wasn't a massive fan when he was fighting, but I know the history. So I would go as far as to say that Overeem was never going to win it anyway. When you look at how good Stipe Miocic was in that era, I don't think there was ever a situation where Alistair Overeem could have beat him. So for that reason, and Stipe Miocic alone, we're putting Alistair Overeem into the never was going to win it anyway. Now, we have Tony Ferguson. The thing is with Tony Ferguson is that he had them 5 cancelled fights against Khabib Nurmagomedov. When Khabib left, Tony had already gone. As a fighter, the mind, it was gone. So was there ever going to be a chance for Tony to win the belt once he left? Well, no. The Justin Gaethje fight showed that he was way past it. In that Justin Gaethje fight where they fought for the interim belt. The problem I have with him is that was he ever going to beat Khabib? Probably not, even in his prime. But we cannot dispute the fact he did go on a 12-fight win streak. He was a very good fighter, very entertaining fighter. I'm willing to put him into the good category. I don't think he should have won it in his career. The 12-fight win streak was quite overrated, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. If you just go look at the names in that list, yes, there's some good names, RDA, Anthony Pettis, but other than that, it's not the best. So he was good. He was a good fighter. Was he ever going to win it? Probably not. Should he have won it? Again, I don't think he would have done. So for that reason, he's going into the good category. Next up, we have Nick Diaz. Now, my problem with Nick Diaz is that when you look at the Anderson Silva fight, he never seemed to have that that urge to go and get the win. It was just like he was a volume striker. He was a very good striker, good grappler, good jiu-jitsu. It was good, but it was never great. He was good in Strikeforce, but when you look at the level of competition that were in Strikeforce in his division at the time, it was impressive, but not like UFC level. So for that reason, I think I'm going to put Nate Diaz into the meh category. If he took it more seriously and had more like get up and go to him in his big fights, I feel like absolutely he could have gone on a run and got the title, but because of his lack of effort that I saw in some of his fights, I just think meh. Meh. That's what I think. Next up, we have his brother, Nate Diaz. I don't need to say much. I'm willing to throw it, was never going to win it anyway. Again, for the similar reasons as to Nick Diaz. The display of lack of effort, the fight with Jorge Masvidal really let him down. I know it was finished by doctor stoppage, but in my opinion, he was losing the fight anyway. I don't know. I just think when you look at the talent that was around him at the time, Conor McGregor, Usman, people like that, I don't think he was ever going to win it. I don't think he wanted to win it, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think that's what this comes down to. He never wanted to win it. Next up, we have a guy who was dear to my heart until he just kind of fell off. Marvin Vettori. Now, my problem with Marvin Vettori is that he fought for the belt, looked poor, and dropped off ever since. Now, was he a good fighter? No. No, he was. He was okay. I feel like he could have won it, On that run he was on up to the Adesanya fight, he was looking really good. His wrestling was looking great. Izzy's wrestling has always looked poor. If he put it together better, I do believe he could have won it. But in the run up to the Adesanya fight, after the Adesanya fight, the fall off, I'm gonna have to put him into meh. I don't think he was ever good or great. Good should probably say great more than anything. So I don't think he goes into the good category. But I think meh is a good place for Marvin Vettori. Next up, we have Dustin Gaethje. Now, my problem with Dustin Gaethje in looking at this list, and I had an idea where I was going to put him before jumping into this, but looking at where I've put everyone else, I'm thinking, can I put him above him and so on and so forth? I don't know. Now, my problem with Gaethje is that he never really showed up in the big events, Like the first Dustin Poirier fight, the Eddie Alvarez fight, former champion Eddie Alvarez. If he went out and beat him, I'll probably be sat here saying he should have won it if he goes on to beat a former champion. Obviously, he had his amazing performances, Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler's like, meh. You've got, who else he faced? The Khabib performance. I mean, no one looks good against Khabib. Like, let's be honest. He did win a round off Khabib, which is one of two people to ever do that. The other being, obviously, Conor McGregor. I'm really hard placed to put Dustin Gaethje in this list. Do I believe he should have won it? Should he have had the belt wrapped around his waist? I don't know, is the answer. I really don't know. Now, my problem I also have is that he's fought for the belt multiple times. And I feel like when you go like style for style, I feel like he should have beat Charles Oliveira. I feel like that is a Gaethje knockout waiting to happen. Obviously, it didn't, which is a shame. Should he have won it? Based on the Charles Oliveira fight alone, I feel like he should have done. I don't think I can. I think I'm going to have to... Oh, no, we're not putting him there. I think I'm going to put him in the good category. Because he is a good fighter. Very good fighter. Should he have won it? I just feel like he... If someone said to me, put all your money on this fight, Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Gaethje, despite the run Charles was on up till this fight, Dustin Gaethje looked good. I would have put all my money on Dustin Gaethje to knock out Charles Oliveira. I would have been that confident. Do you know what? I'm actually going to put him in the should have won it. Do you know what? Some people might disagree with that, but I feel like he should have won Undisputed Gold based on the Charles Oliveira fight alone. Next up, we have Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Now, I have a problem with Masvidal, and that's I don't believe he should have got the title shot off Kamaru Usman in the first place. That's the only time he's fought for the belt from my memory. Obviously, let's forget the BMF belt for now. He was 3-0-1 leading up to the Usman fight. He had beat Nate Diaz, Ben Askren, drew with Anthony Pettis, got the win over Darren Till as well. Now, my problem with him is, he shouldn't have fought for the belt, in my opinion. But he was a good fighter. And now this is where I've made the ranking system a bit bad. This is on me. Because he is a good fighter. And looking at the other fighters, I would probably put him at the top of Met, if I'm being perfectly honest. However, because of Kamaru Usman, because of the way Kamaru Usman dominated him in the first fight, yes, it was on like 3 minutes notice, and the way he knocked him out in the second fight on a full training camp. And then after the Usman fight, going on to lose to Covington, Gilbert Burns, I'm so unbelievably confident to put him in the was never going to win it anyway category, because purely based on Kamaru Usman alone, basically. And then obviously there was no bounce back after losing. I think he lost twice to Usman, had 2 more fights, and then went to boxing. So for that reason, I don't think he was ever going to win it anyway. Next up in the list, we have Joseph Benavidez. Now, I thought Benavidez was a fantastic fighter. Obviously, he beat Henry Cejudo, Tim Elliott. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any more. However, how we have to look at it is that at the time, we had Demetrius Johnson at the top of the division. He fought him once for the belt and lost. Fought him before that and lost. But he was good, obviously beating Henry Cejudo. He was a good fighter. Should he have won it? No. No, I don't. I'm actually second guessing myself. Because when you think about it, the talent that was in the division at the time wasn't the best. With Tim Elliott, Demetrius Johnson, of course, was one of the best. As well as Henry Cejudo up there. But everyone around him, Eddie Wineland was okay, he was decent. Joseph Formiga. I don't know, I feel like he should have won it. When you look at his division as a whole, the only real 2 top contenders he really had to overcome was Henry Cejudo, who he beat. Not for the title, but he did beat him. And Demetrius Johnson, who eventually left. And after the leaving of Demetrius Johnson, I felt like there was a window for Joseph Benavidez to really grab it and go for it. After that point, he lost to Sergio Pettis. He then came back and beat Alex Perez. I feel like when you look at these fighters as a whole, who's here, you think I'm mad putting Joseph Benavidez above Tony Ferguson. But think about it from his division's perspective. The flyweight division has never been stacked. And after Demetrius Johnson left the UFC, that was his opportunity to go on and win the belt. He's beaten Henry Cejudo, so he's proved he can stand with the top. He should have won it. He absolutely should have won Undisputed Gold. Next up, Darren Till. Darren Till made the biggest mistake of his career of going up to middleweight. I know the cut was a lot for him. I know he's a big guy. If he could have consistently stayed at middleweight, at welterweight, he could have been good. Yes, there was people like Usman, people like Masvidal who knocked him out, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. When you look at the talent in the 2 divisions he faced in, just look at the champions at the time alone. Was he ever going to beat Adesanya? No. Was he ever going to beat Usman? No. If he stayed fighting to today in the UFC, could he have beat someone like Bilal Muhammad? No. So for that reason, the inconsistency annoyed me with Darren Till. He could go out and have an electric performance and then next minute get dominated by DDP. I mean, he was good with DDP on the feet, very, very good. But I mean, ultimately the wrestling took over. Very, very good fighter. I love Darren Till. However, looking at the talent in the 2 divisions, no, do you know what? I think that's harsh. I think if he had the right mindset, He was a good fighter, but it's just the inconsistency. If he had the right mindset and, you know, maybe better coaches, maybe that could have been a deciding factor. He could have. I'm going to put him in the good category. He had a good chance of going on to win it if, you know, if he beat DDP. The UFC could look so different today if he beat DDP. But he didn't, so we can't fantasize about that. So for that reason, I am going to put him in the good category because he was a good fighter. You know, better than Vettori, in my opinion. Not like this is what we're ranking on, because we need to look at, you know, division for division. And the time frame they were fighting. Obviously, Marvin Vettori and Darren Till, very, very similar, if not the same. I would actually swap these two around and put Marvin Vettori above Nate Diaz. Yeah, I'm happy with putting Darren Till in the good category. Next up, we have Dustin the Diamond Poirier. I don't need to say any more. The guy was amazing. The guy's boxing was fantastic. He only really ever lost to elite opponents. He lost the first McGregor fight very early on in his UFC career. Was been in the top 5, top 10 of the lightweight division for like 10 years or something ridiculous. Yes, he lost his last fight to Justin Gaethje. Yes, he lost to Max Holloway. But other than that, look at the title fights he lost. Charles Oliveira, elite. Islam Makhachev, incredible. And Khabib Nurmagomedov. Can you fault the guy? He was just always in the wrong place at the wrong time. When Eddie Alvarez was champion, that would have been his best time to poach on that belt. But unfortunately, he was too low down in the rankings to really go for it. And by the point he got near the top, Khabib had already taken over. Eddie Alvarez had lost, and you know they fought for the vacant belt. Alvarez got knocked down by McGregor. The lightweight division has been a mess for years, like if I'm being perfectly honest. But when you look at his resume, his ability, his striking is incredible, his boxing is fantastic. Out of these fighters, out of all the fighters to never win the belt, I would put Dustin Poirier as the greatest of all time to never win it. Dan Henderson. Again, let's look at the competition that was around him at the time. That's what's important. Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping. Need I say more? You know, he was never... George St. Pierre. Like, he was never going to win it. He was never going to win it. I don't know much about Dan Henderson. I've seen, like... I just mentioned Michael Bisping, even though he knocked out Michael Bisping, but... that makes me look like an idiot. Anyway, even so, I don't think he was ever going to win the belt. I don't ever think he was good enough. Again, looking at the people around him, Anderson Silva, GSP, all them kind of people... I would definitely put him above Nate Diaz. I would actually probably put Overeem above Yoel Romero. And I'd probably put Dan Henderson above Yoel Romero as well. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm much happy with that. Next up, we have Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I have a lot of issues with where to put him in this list. The inconsistency is what let him down in his career, you know. Beating, like, RDA. No, sorry, he lost RDA. Losing to RDA, Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz. But, like, beating Charles Oliveira, you know? Also beating the likes of Jim Miller, Eddie Alvarez. He was supposed to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov, which he would have lost. Benson Henderson, of course. But also losing to RDA. You know, Anthony Pettis. He never really could. He went on a long win streak and never got near the top of his division. Because he beat, you know... lower level opponents. Yes, there were some high level opponents in there, but you know, losing Darren Till as well in there. No, that was towards the end of his career, but still, yeah. Should he have won it? No. Was he a good fighter? We had a good chance of winning it. No. Meh? Yeah, I don't hate that. Meh. Great fighter. Could never put it together at the top. You know, he lost to Jorge Masvidal, Robbie Lawler. No shame in losing to these fighters, but I'm looking at his resume here. Just you know, beating Jeremy Stevens, very good. Charles Oliveira, very good. But at the end of the day, he never ran. No, Matt Brown is a great win. Alexander Hernandez, Ali Quinta, But then went on a 4-fight losing streak to Ferguson, Gaethje, McGregor. Okay, that was towards the end of his career, admittedly. Do you know what? For the sole purpose that he was a good fighter and should have made a... No, he shouldn't. Because every time he faced top opponents at the time, he lost. Yeah, he did. I'm really contradicting myself here. Because his resume is just all over the place. Like, when you research it, he beats the likes of Jeremy Stevens, Charles Oliveira, Dennis Silva, but loses to Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, RDA, but beats Eddie Alvarez and Benson Henderson. But then loses to Rafael dos Anjos again via knockout, but beats, Matt Brown, and then loses 3 fights, wins a fight, loses a fight, wins 3, loses 4, retires. Then finally beats RDA in a grappling match, by the way. And then just, I don't know, it's really hard. I feel like if the timing was correct, no, because RDA was. This is so hard because of how up and down his resume was, and he bounced between different divisions. I don't think he was never sticking to a division, so I'm actually going to bump him down to was never going to win it anyway, purely based on inconsistency alone. Carlos Condit, great fighter, great fighter. I don't know too much about Carlos Condit, if I'm being perfectly honest. Again, I caught the back end of his career. But when you think, obviously did he beat GSP? I'm going to have to look this up. I don't know enough about, I don't think he did. No, he couldn't. No, he didn't. George St. Pierre only lost to 2 people. And that weren't one of them. So, again, looking at the fact that he was around the same era of, GSP, Michael Bisping, and all that. Good fighter, really entertaining. Could have made a run for it. Could have won it if he was lucky enough, but unfortunately not. Colby Covington. Some people might hate that. Some people might hate the fact I've put him in should have won it. Multiple opportunities. Yes, Kamaru Usman was the top, and he fought him, 2-3 times? I just feel like when you fight a guy like Colby Covington, who was actually quite smart in his marketing abilities to put himself on the map and give him a chance to run for the top, I feel like he should have won it. I really do. He won the interim title, faced Usman 2-3 times. I feel like after the first loss, he should have bounced back and done better. A lot better. I think he should have won it. And then obviously the run after Usman hasn't been great. I feel like if he kept that going, if you had Colby Covington when he was just about to fight Usman, or even after he fought Usman for the first time, that prime of Covington, he would have beat Belal Muhammad. That Colby Covington would have beat Leon Edwards. Not the Colby Covington that turned up to fight Leon Edwards. The just about to fight Kamaru Usman would have beat him. He should have won it in his career. I feel like if you look at the timings, there should have been a time he would have slotted in as a champion. And so for that reason, he's going in to should have won it. Chael Sonnen. Brilliant. Need I say more? Undefeated, undisputed. Did win it. He did win the belt. Nah, okay, let's be serious for un memento. Purely based on the fact of John Jones, Daniel Cormier, I'm going to put him in the was never going to win it anyway. Because of the elite opponents that were around him. I don't need to say any more on the matter. Chad Mendes, again, very good fighter, lost to Conor McGregor. Jose Aldo was in his prime at this time. Was he ever gonna win it? Before I continue on that fact, I'm actually gonna move Chael Sonnen down, probably even down a bit more. I think he was never gonna win it anyway. I've been realistic. Was never going to win it anyway. Brian Ortega. I love Brian Ortega. Fought for the belt multiple times. Had that guillotine on Volkanovski. Somehow didn't win. Got battered by Max Holloway. No two ways about it. He should... Oh, this is so tough. Yeah, he should have won it. had multiple opportunities, but again, elite level opponents. He was a very good fighter, always fighting near the top as of recently. I know he had a few injuries, had a few issues and whatnot, and trying to find the right weight for him to fight at now. I feel like he is a good fighter, but he is a good fighter. I don't feel like it. He is a good fighter. On the like, if there was another category of like probably should be in of won it category, he'd be the only person in this list on it. I don't think he should be here. I really don't. I'm really struggling to place him here because of the elite level opponents he would have faced. There we go. But did have that guillotine choke on Volkanovski. That's nothing to do with him as a fighter. I'm happy with him staying at the top end of the good category. Alexander Gustafsson. Now, a lot of people have said he's up there with Dustin Poirier as of fighters to have never won it. The first fight with John Jones, incredible. Like to think he would have bounced back in the rematch and performed better, but obviously got knocked out. Should he have won it? Some people say he did win that first fight. I'm happy to put him down at the lower end. He was a very good fighter. I'm happy with him in the should have won it. Should have bounced back and done better against John Jones. Obviously kind of faded after that. I feel like he should have won it. I don't need to say any more, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think the list is actually quite, maybe Carlos Condit above Nate Diaz, maybe. Maybe Gustafsson goes higher up. And maybe Covington goes a bit higher up as well. Do you know what? I think I'm happy with that. Looking at it, I'm happy with it, if I'm being perfectly honest. Let me know your thoughts in the description, but you can't do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to rank. I'll rank anything off, if I'm being perfectly honest. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it on our road to 500 followers, subscribers. I've been Jordan Does UFC. I'll see you at some point soon. Thank you very much. See you later.